This dethaddr at the death shop. Just getting some of my nice wooden mulch out here, because today is the last day for my garden. Actually, I'm just gonna leave my shovel right here in the front, because today we're going in the back. We're gonna be chopping up some dahlias. As you can see, I just left the side here all to do what it wanted to this year, because yeah, there's absolutely no real growing of real lawn there. We got our hoses out too. We're probably gonna have to do something with them. As you can see, there's my dahlias, and we just had our first hard frost just the other day, so I was at work, so couldn't do anything till then. But we're gonna do some chopping here. I'm gonna chop down the dahlias all the way to the ground. And this soil that I have here should be well drained, so next year it should grow me some more dahlias. Because the stuff that I have to work with is like this ugly clay stuff, and I actually went over there and turned this into other stuff here. Unfortunately, yeah, these will go next year, these heather plants, because they didn't make a darn thing. That's the only one that looked like it was still trying to go, but it's okay. As you can see, I tore up where all the leeks were at, and those guys are going to go into a soup pot. So now what you're going to see is pretty much just what's left of the dahlias, and I'm going to go and cover them with a couple buckets. And as you can see, there's still one or two blooms that are left over. Pause for wind feedback. So you can see up here where the raspberries are, we're going to end up using metal twine on those next year, because it looks like the biodegradable just biodegrades too fast here, which is unfortunate. And it looks like it's going to take more than one bucket, because I want to cover them nice and deep. As you can see where the strawberries are at here, I've already put I put peat, because I don't like straw. One, straw attracts way too many spiders. So you can see out of my potted herbs, the only thing that I grew was dill, which went in some swordfish the other day. Had some swordfish and dill and lemon, and it was pretty delicious. It's the first time I ever cooked it. I will cook it again. As you can see, since I knew frost was coming and everything before, I had already taken off my water spigot. I might consider getting my lawn zones redone, but that'll have to wait. Look at that. See, that's what I do not want in my flowers there. Did you see that? Nice big spider egg sac. So it's a nice warm place to put it, that's for sure. But this is exactly why I kept so much mulch out here. It was because I knew I was going to use it for winter. Could have done a wheelbarrow. I decided not to. I'll do it by hand, get a little work. Now that I'm out here, it's not actually that bad of a day. I put on a light jacket, but I do have it unzipped. Don't need anything but the wind protection from it. Actually, it's a warm, gentle wind today, so that's pretty good. See some spiders here and there. If you hear that sound in the distance there, that's the high school band playing. In our area of town, actually, it could possibly be the college, but in our town, at least where I live, the sound travels quite a distance. So even me just talking on this video, probably the neighbors down there, as far as you can see, I'm trying to crane up for you there, probably can hear what I'm saying. I oftentimes wonder, because oftentimes when I'm doing this stuff, I'll have my MP3 player on and my headphones and I'll be singing, and oftentimes I wonder if they actually hear me singing. So this is November 1st. It is actually the day after Halloween, and yesterday I got a bunch of trick-or-treaters. I was laughing because M.I. Gardner, which is a guy that I watch quite a bit, he's a little bit wordy, needs to get to the point, but you know, a lot of people's bosses are that way too, so you kind of get used to it after a while. Not mentioning any names here, but he does have a lot of good information. I did not get my dahlia information from him. I actually got it from a website. That's only because I want to make sure that my dahlias this year make it all the way through. Originally I had planted them right up here, but they didn't last because that soil doesn't drain very well. It's like clay, and water probably got in and froze. And once the tubers are frozen, they're pretty much done. So they didn't come back the next year, so the next year I had 0 dahlias. So this year I planted more, except I decided to do it in my garden with the nice well-drained soil. And well, now we got the result. We had absolutely tons, and I do mean tons, of dahlias this year. I want to be able to reproduce that next year. So the only thing that I was missing is that the ones that I got, I thought that they were Mystery Day, but they weren't Mystery Day because they were solid burgundy. And Mystery Day has a white stripe in them too, and Mystery Days happen to be my favorite type of dahlia. So I'll end up planting some more dahlias next year and probably go one further up from here on the terraces. Either that or I'll build the next terrace out and then do it right off of there. So I only got a couple more buckets to go here. Boy, this is a beautiful day out here. You see my cherry trees, I'll crane up for you. Hopefully you're not in the sun. They're dropping all their leaves. Basically, those guys tell me when spring is, because when spring is, they'll start flowering, and they'll flower for 3 days and 3 days only. And once they're done, they're done. It looks so beautiful for 3 days out of 365. See, as you can see too, that's all warm and wet on the inside, so that's exactly what we're looking for. Well, not the wet part, but it'll drain. But the warm part, definitely. The warm part, it'll definitely keep the dahlias nice and warm through winter. Kind of wonder if that guy's actually stopping on my street, or whether his road application told him that this way was the way up to the college. I live on this little loop, and it just goes from the same street that he came off of down here right back to it on the other side. So The only people living up here on this loop are us, and you know, houses up and down the block. And a little bit more. So one more bucket for this, and then I might top off the strawberries too. Actually, I think that I'll also run up to the top there and put some around those blueberries. My blueberries, I had 2 of them survive out of 6, and it's a variety issue, I think. I just chose the ones that were there because they were non-GMOs and chose the ones out of that. But I did not have very much regard for if they were able to use them in the zone here. See, and if you remember that video of that truck getting stuck in the mud, there's some of the ruts right there for you. Still haven't done anything with that. Whoa, got some grass up in there. That's off of where I put a cardboard box down, so when he dropped this down, an opened up cardboard box, so when he dropped this down, it would it's a big piece there, so that way it would go over there and keep the stuff from growing up and into it. Because as you can see, weeds are trying to take over the rest of the dirt. That dirt's going to get spread out though. As you can see, wildflowers did okay over here. I mean, they still got some little ones though, but those ones are real tough. I barely put any dirt over there at all. Mostly just mixed them in with the clay. But if you noticed all the stuff that's overgrowth above the raspberries there, that's all wildflower. From the very first year I lived here, I planted a bunch on this hillside. There was 0 terraces. There wasn't this pathway up at all. None of this stuff was gouged out. But I decided I didn't want the guys to landscape it. I wanted to do the landscaping myself on the back. So that's what I did. Say we got patchy grass back here. I'll fix this next year. Spread some seed and we'll figure out a better water distribution method. Like I said, I might get my zones repaired because the first year had some guys that will remain nameless come out and do my stuff, but they didn't do it right. It ended up next spring with water down the street. And luckily, the land developer that made my house was kind enough to bring his guys out and turn off the rest for me, so I wouldn't continue having water coming down everywhere. But at the time, I just got the house. Heather wasn't quite in the position that she was in yet, so didn't quite have the money to go spend it on repairing the damages, so we just kind of took it. See, I don't think I need to make an adjustment yet. See, I'll move myself up just a little bit. So yeah, down underneath all that stuff is strawberries. Had to chop all the runners, and any flower and any berry that was still remaining got chopped off because I didn't want them growing not this late. These are those wildflowers I was telling you about. Raspberries will probably be nice and happy. First thing I'm going to do next year, as soon as I get the chance, is come up here and just take it all out. Now, this is one of the blueberries that survived. This was a Jersey. What I'm going to do is put this bark all around it. It should keep it nice and warm in the middle of winter. I'm going to leave a dome in the front here. As you can see, I put the drainage right there, so it does get drained, but I also want to make sure that it stays nice and warm. I'll bring another bucket up. So as you can see, the wildflowers, thistles, which I fought all year, kept kicking and destroying. So all you can really do is destroy them and destroy them and destroy them as they come up. Noticed some of those in the front yard, but it'll be something I have to do every year. It's kind of funny because I was asking a noxious weed dude, because if you notice, the lot next to me is completely empty, and every year they chop it down twice a year, which really irritates me because it makes it really tough for me to grow anything useful on this side, because I'm fighting all the weeds popping in from the other side. But he was telling me that vinegar is a really bad thing to put in the ground because it's more toxic than even some of the chemicals, which I'm not really sure if I believe that too much. I know that it's acidic, you know, so if you're planting something there that doesn't like acid, you probably don't want to do it. But still, I think that vinegar and soap and what was the other thing? Epsom salt is probably the best weed destroyer out there, because it dries them up in 5 hours on a sunny day. I've watched it turn perfectly nice living thistles like that piece of junk there that's going to get kicked out. Literally. It literally turned something that looked like that, all nice and green and vegetal, into a brown shriveled mess in 5 hours. Actually, it was like more like 8. Was it before work? No, I didn't do that before work. That was one that I went out into town and did some stuff and came back. But in 5 hours, yeah, I was pretty much just eating. Pretty nice. Yeah, I think I might mulch the top of the strawberries. See, I'm gonna have to remove the peat at the end. But I want to make sure that those guys last, because next year they'll be superstars. I should have carved this grass back more. If I'd have thought about it, I would have. Thought about it before. See, and the reason why we do it like this is because we want to make sure that that water still stays in there. Gets down to where the plant wants it. Go ahead and take my stake out. Might as well, it's a nice